Once again, thank you very much for joining the webinar. This is going to be a very interesting webinar, and I'm very excited to present this webinar to you. A little about myself. I see a lot of familiar names in the window now, and many of you might have attended one of the previous webinars where I might have presented, so you may know me. For those of you who don't know me, I am Hema Lakshmi. I'm a product expert in Freshworks. I specialize in Freshservice solution, and I love presenting webinars. I love bringing all the amazing functionalities to all of our customers. This has been something that I've been doing for quite some time, and I see that many of your customers are very interested in the webinars and are also seeing value in these webinars. So in the next 40 minutes, it's going to be about what this return to work means as an employee, as an organization, and as an IT person. And what are all the problems around this, challenges around returning to work, and how companies can overcome those challenges. We'll also be talking a little bit about the uncertainty around the situation itself, which is making things even more difficult. So first, let's see what we call as the workplace limbo. So the workplace limbo is where there is this air of uncertainty, right? When the organization is going to reopen, and how is it going to reopen? Is it going to reopen in 100% capacity, or are they going to have only 30% capacity? And if that's the case, who are all the employees? What roles are they going to choose to return to work? These are all some questions that are there in the minds of employees and employers alike. And there are also many situations where big organizations had planned to reopen their workplace, but have pushed off the dates because of the increasing number of cases. Google is a good example where they plan to reopen in July, but they have pushed it out up until September 7th. And many of you in your organizations as well might be facing such a scenario where the date at which the reopening is not confirmed yet. And there are several factors that come into play with this whole scenario. So each state governments and national governments and also some public health institutes come up with guidelines that the organizations should follow when they reopen the workplace. And they also give a warning as to now is not the good time to reopen a workplace, or we're going to expect a second wave, so let's not reopen, and so on. And there is also this confusion from the company's side where they're wondering if their workplace is ready to get back employees and also provide a safe environment for the employees to work. And from the employees' side, there is also a great amount of concern in going back to work. If we go back to work, what is the possibility that we will catch hold of the virus and come back to the house to our loved ones and spread it? So the uncertainty is everywhere around us, and there are a lot of factors that contribute to this uncertainty. Now, when you, as an organization, when you think about reopening the workplace, there needs to be a threefold thought that goes into this. Now, this is what we have designed, where we have three wings which we have to think about. The first one will be employee readiness, where you need to gauge the sentiment of the employees with regards to coming back to work. As I mentioned, employees do worry about coming back to work, especially because of the widespread of this virus. And how is the organization going to understand this sentiment of the employees? And the next one is about workplace readiness. Workplace readiness in the sense of the infrastructure of the workplace, the physical infrastructure, and also the facilities that come within your workplace. How are you going to maintain it when you're also ensuring the safety of your employees? Clearly, you cannot afford to have crowded cafeterias and pantries like you had in the pre-COVID time. Now, how are you going to manage all these situations? And then you have automation of workflows. where many business processes that used to happen on one-on-one communication or just directly going and talking to the personnel or having meetings in a conference rooms. But those are out of the question right now. This is the time when all organizations can leverage the technology and make sure that the human to human contact is minimized as much as possible. Now let's see each of these a little bit in detail. So what are the typical questions that an employee will have? And what are the questions that as an organization you need to have when it comes to your employees? So what is the percentage of your employees that are ready to return? How are you going to find that out? Are you going to send a company-wide email and expect a response? Or how are you going to understand the percentage of employee that are going to return? Because this directly affects the way you run business within your organization. And what concerns do the employees have? And as an organization, how are you going to address these concerns? How are you going to make sure that your employees can come to work without worrying about their health and safety? And to top it all, how are you going to help your employees initiate the process of returning to work? Let's say that some of your employees want to come back to work to continue their work. How are you going to facilitate a platform in which they can initiate this process? The next wing that we want to see is workplace readiness. Have you decided what percentage is the capacity of operation for your organization? Is it going to be 30%? Is it 50 or is it 70? And if it is 70, how are you going to manage that workforce within your organization? And what is the plan for providing hygienic food or at least access to it? And the same processes of providing food and rest places that you had before COVID is no more going to hold true in the current situation. And there is this other question of allocating work desks with appropriate distances. So we need to maintain social distancing while still being in the office. How are we going to do that? And common areas like meeting rooms or pathways or pantries, these places need to be reconfigured so that there is not crowding that happens in these places. And again, the topmost priority of how are you going to provide the personal protection equipment like gloves and masks and sanitizers to each and every employee in your organization. The next one is about business processes. Now, the same business processes that used to happen need to be modified to make sure that the human-to-human interaction is reduced largely. And not only that, you also need to bring in new processes that will help you with the items listed here. You need to make sure that you have adequate stock of the PPE items in your inventory. And you also need to know the occupancy status of the work desks. Allocating a work desk that is already occupied is going to cause confusion. And also you need to make sure that every employee is healthy and safe every day that they enter the organization. So a temperature check and a health check is mandatory every single day during the entry and exit. And also, what is the exposure that your employees have had? What is the travel history that they've had? You need to maintain a record of all your employees' travel history. How are you going to get all of this information? Now, these are the three wings that you need to think about when you think about reopening your organization for employees to return. By our customers and companies worldwide, Freshservice has come up with the Return to Work app. Now, this app will be available in the marketplace, and this app will be available for all the customers in all plants. All you need to do is go to your workplace, go to your marketplace, identify this app, and start using it. We will be notifying you when we bring this app to life, but right now, we are building this app with the following functionalities. So here is a highlight of what this app can do in terms of your business values. So it will facilitate your employees with a platform in which the employees can raise their requests to return to work. This will be a very e-commerce-like experience for your employees, where they can just go ahead and request that they want to enter the work at the particular time and date. And option for the employees to also mention their health condition and the temperatures are also available. In addition to that, you also have the ability to automate the processes. So let's say that an employee has requested a return to work. The whole process that follows that from the approval of this particular request, and upon approval, what is the process of allocating a work desk or distributing a PPE set. All these processes can be automated using the app. And not only that, you can keep track of the occupancy status of the work desk and also maintain the inventory of the PPE sets. Now let's see how each of these are being done using this app. So the first thing we have the self-service portal. So in the self-service portal, as you can see in the image here, we have all of the elements listed, and the employee just needs to enter into the self-service portal and request for a particular item. Now with this app, once you have this app in your account, this model will already come into place in your instance. Now let me quickly show you a demo of how this works. So here is the dashboard of Freshservice. And here you have all the service catalog items, and you can also have the service folders that you need to create. Now let me quickly take you to the support portal. So here, this is the support portal that your employees will be able to see. Your employees can access this portal and raise any request that they want to. Now let's say that they want to request the workplace entry. Now the employee needs to enter a name, their name, and they need to enter the date at which they are planning to return to work. And here they can enter the value that suits their situation the best. This gives the idea of their travel exposure, and a collective information of all your employees will also give you an idea of how many employees are more riskier to bring back to work. And once the employee places this request, it'll be easy for you to start processing this request and approving this request. There are also other requests that they can raise, like an N95 mask or a disposable gloves or an entry-exit screening. Now, let's say that an employee has entered the office already and they want to exit. Now, they can select the option that they want, and here they can select if they have any symptoms, and they can also enter their temperature based on the value that you want to select. Now, this will give an idea of if their body temperature is high, then this request cannot be approved. And if their body temperature is within the required value, then this request can be approved. Now, these are the different service catalog items that are available. And you can also additionally add items to your service catalog based on your company's requirements. Now, next to the service portal, we have automations. And in automations, we are going to leverage the workflow automator. We're also giving a few workflow automators default with this app. And you can create any number of processes based on the requests that you set up in the service catalog. Here is an example where a service request is raised by the employee. And based on the travel exposure, this request is either approved or is rejected. Now let me show you in the product as to how this is configured. Let's go to the workflow automator under help desk productivity. And here you can see all of these workflows are already available. Now let's go into one workflow and see what is there. So you can see that when the requested item is request workplace entry, the validation is based on the employee's travel exposure and detail. And if this travel exposure is, let me open this up for you. Yes, this is how this has been created. So if the relevant travel and exposure detail includes this option, then what needs to be done? The action is being clearly identified. Here, a rejection email has to be sent. And if not, the approval email can be sent to the reporting manager. And once the approval email is sent, the workspace allocation process is initiated. Now, this is one of the example for the automation that you can do using this app and the workflow automator. Now, we have other automations as well that you can do. For example, here is an entry or exit request. Now, based on the temperature of the body. So this is how this workflow automator works, providing a great automation platform to make the return to work process much easier for you and your employees. The next one that we have is asset management. Now, as you all know, the asset management functionality that comes with Freshservice, you can also use the same module to track the inventory of the PPE items. For example, the N95 masks or the gloves and safety glasses. You can keep a track of which item is being used by who and in which department. In addition to that, you can also identify which location has enough number of masks and which location needs additional masks to be purchased. On top of this, you also have powerful analytics that will give you an idea of what is happening with the asset status. Here is an example of the total assets grouped by the product. It gives an idea of what is the percentage of the total assets you have split by the type of asset that you have, like gloves or workspaces or masks and laptops and so on. Let me take you to the product to quickly show this to you. You can create dashboards called as return to work dashboard or office reopen dashboard, in which you can create multiple widgets that will give you a better idea of what's happening in terms of the return to work. So this gives a clear idea of the number of requests raised per day and which day is peaking and which day there are no requests that are coming in. You can also schedule this report to be sent to a manager or the facility manager so that they can make the business decisions like purchasing more number of masks or allocating more desks for the employees who are coming in and so on. App, we also have a few tips that we wanted to share with you on how you can make your workplace safe using Freshservice. So one thing that I wanted to highlight here is the conversational portal. This is mainly because it reduces the number of tickets that come in for the agents, especially during remote work and when you come back to work where the entire working situation has been changed. Employees are so used to having their colleagues around us for any doubts that they may have. And this conversational portal will be very useful for the employees when they don't have many colleagues around to ask and get their issues resolved. Many of the simple issues will be solved using the conversational portal where Freddy, the AI platform, will even suggest solutions automatically based on the keywords entered by the employee. And if not, a service request or an incident request can be raised directly from the conversational portal. And we also have CAB meetings. There is a reason why I wanted to highlight CAB meetings in this scenario because CAB meetings are usually they run in a conference room with five to 10 people, and the number of changes that you want to go through in that particular CAB meeting will be handy, and you'll be talking about each changes and making notes and so on. But this situation cannot happen in the current scenario. Having 5 to 10 people within a conference room and running this meeting is not possible. That is why CAB meetings can be really helpful in reducing the human-to-human interaction. You can run these CAB meetings on a Zoom call. Let me show you how you can use the CAB meetings. So you need to go to, sorry, let me go to the dashboard. You need to go to the calendar, and in the calendar, you need to select the change calendar. And in change calendar to your right, you will be able to schedule a CAB meeting. Let's give a name for this CAB meeting, and you can select the duration at which you want this CAB meeting to happen. And here you can add the changes just by using this filter. So this filter will automatically populate all the changes that will fit this criteria that you have mentioned here. And once the list is available, you can select these and add them to the CAB meeting. Here you will be able to see that these two changes have been added for this particular CAB meeting. And once you have added these changes, you can add your comments here that this is priority 1 and we are chasing a deadline. And this is priority 2 with no deadline. This will give you an idea of the priority or any other comment that you want to add in these changes. And once you have these changes added, there will be a meeting summary that is automatically populated, which will get the name of the meeting, a description that you have entered, the timing, and also the list of the changes that you would want to go through in this particular CAB meeting. And once you have this, and once you have created this CAB meeting, you can run this CAB meeting just like a PowerPoint show where you can just go over each of the changes one by one and make sure that these changes are being added and these changes are being identified. The processes involved in these changes are identified, and any comments that need to be added to these changes are also identified and marked right in the Zoom call, Zoom or WebEx or any platform that you use. Next to CAB meetings, I wanted to talk about project management, which is being facilitated by Freshservice integration with Freshservice. And this is important again because many of the teams have everyday stand-ups where all the team members gather around the monitor and they go on with the tasks of the day. Now, again, that is not possible in the current scenario. So we are providing you this platform where you have swim lanes that capture the status of each of the work items. And this tool will also help you collaborate within your team members. And you can also mention if there is a requirement of another person from another team to be involved in a particular task. You can also do that by using this solution. Say a big thank you for all of you today. Your questions and your lively engagement had kept this webinar going at a very good pace. And I also feel very happy looking at your engagement and looking at your response to the Return to Work app. And we were very excited about this app, and basically because this app helps the organization return to work in a safe environment. So we will be announcing all of you when this app comes live, and we will also send you some materials on which you can use this app. Thank you once again. See you at the next webinar.